Well, I think that's pretty much everyone's experience in rock and roll, is that you ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Until next time I see you, you're at Dodger Stadium.
We have a special guest joining us right now, don't we?
So I know you're a Police fan too. Like, who isn't? I mean, they made some of the greatest records. It's great to have you, man.
Oh, my pleasure to be here with y'all. Look at you guys.
It's great. I'm here with Josh Bernstein. Of course, we're here trying out as our co-host, Wolfgang Van Halen.
Trying to get the part.
Yes,
Come on, I can say already he's got the job.
Yeah.
Wore my fancy coat. I'm here. I'm ready.
Yeah, you guys met. Tell us about when you guys had met before.
Yeah, super briefly at the Hawkins tribute at Wembley. I remember I nervously walked up to you and told you how big of a fan I was, and my fiance as well.
Oh, shucks. Was that not an incredible day?
Man, that was, I mean, with the emotional weight of it all, that was one of the most special things I think I've ever been a part of, certainly. So.
Well, me too. I mean, I've been involved in a lot of things, but I think that was probably the biggest show day ever.
Now, Stewart, I got to tell you this story because, man, it's like a long time ago, 1978. So I was a huge fan from the beginning, and I came to see you guys play the Outlandish to More tour. It was Philadelphia, the Walnut Street Theater, 1978. But when I went to buy the tickets, okay, it was called Ticketron then, not Ticketmaster, you'll remember. Yeah, the guy behind the counter.
Probably $17.
No, you know how much it cost this show? It cost $2. It was a $2 low show to see the Police.
We were dreaming
That
of
is incredible.
Yeah, yes, it was. At that time, $17 was a lot of money for a concert. The asshole behind the counter at the Ticketron, he looks at me and goes, "Yeah, you know this band, the Police?" He goes, "You better enjoy them while you can, because they're going nowhere." And all I gotta say about that guy's, you know what? That guy, in the words of
That guy.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's pretty much everyone's experience in rock and roll, is that you ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Until next time I see you, you're at Dodger Stadium.
That's right.
Wow, I love it.
I love that.
And Stewart, there's one thing I like to ask musicians who have been doing this for pretty much their entire lives. When you are a musician, a lot of the times they like just jam out, you know? That's what they do every day. But is there something out of the ordinary, like a
I
hobby
do that
you
here
have?
all the time. Jam out. My buddies come over here. This whole studio here is all wired for sound. Every amp has got a mic on it. The drums are all mic'd up. Everything, the Hammond, it's all wired for sound. So when my chuckle buddies come over here, and I got cameras around the room as well.
We got to talk about your new record too, which is Police Deranged For Orchestra.
Well, the next tracks coming out are going to be a little more adventurous than Every Breath. That's kind of the straightest shot choice. You know, the record company figured, gotta go with that one. That's the huge hit. But some of the other things, Tea in the Sahara, Demolition Man, Message in a Bottle, those are some pretty messed up versions. I think you'll hear the bits that you like, but I have indulged in a little game of hide the hit occasionally. But what it is since leaving, since the Police, I don't know how many decades ago, I had a film, 20 years as a hired gun film composer. One day, I started adding obscure Police songs that I wrote in there just as instrumentals. And they went over so well that I figured, how about we play some hits? And once the scalpel was out, the orgy began. So that's how we get to Derangements, and that's how we get to For Orchestra. With me banging stuff as well, of course.
You gotta bang stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta. I mean, back to the Taylor tribute. I thought one of the great parts of that event was it was also sort of a love letter to drumming in general, right? There were so many, I'm sure, of your contemporary fellow.
Well, what it was a giant audition for who the next Foo Fighters drummers would be.
So true.
So I guess that leads to my next question, Stewart. Do you have anything you want to tell us?
In front of 80,000 people. In front of 80,000 people, they got to get everybody from me to Chad to, everybody was there. Omar holding it down, Josh, everybody was there. All got their chance to be a Foo Fighter for 2 songs.
Do you have a question, Wolf?
I guess maybe from a drummer's perspective, I've always been interested, and it was phenomenal to be able to actually watch you play up close during the Taylor shows. What goes into your left hand?
Well, I can tell you that the reason I'm more comfortable is because I was raised back in the ancient times when orthodox grip was what all drummers did. Now, the reason why all drummers did that is the history of the snare drum. The snare drum came from marching, and they would march with this cylindrical thing between their legs, and if it's like that, they're bouncing. But if they turn it on its side, there's room for their knees to move under it because it's a kind of an angle. And so it sits at an angle, so this drum's like that. To try and play like this is uncomfortable, so they turn this hand around, so this hand goes like that. And that's where the orthodox grip came from, because the snare drum used to be at that angle. Now, in 1898, one D.D. Chandler invented the most important invention of American culture, which was the bass drum pedal.
Yeah.
Now, the reason that was so important was because the bass drum pedal enabled one guy to play the bass drum and the snare drum, and he still got a hand free to play a cymbal or a hi-hat or anything like that. And therefore, what used to be done by 3 guys is now being done by 1 guy, which means groove in one body, holding these rhythmic elements together the way no 3 people can, and took us to the backbeat. But that backbeat, which is the most distinctive feature of American culture, derives from the invention of the bass drum pedal. Where were we?
He would be a great music
That
teacher.
is a good answer. I would
take-
absolutely take that class for sure.
Yeah, I would
could
take
just
your
sit here.
music class.
Can we cancel the show and just like
Yeah,
listen to that?
yeah, we're gonna just do that. We're gonna do like
Well, nowadays, young drummers have turned that snare drum like this, which is perfectly logical. So Taylor and Chad and all the rest of them could just play like that, and makes perfect sense.
I only have one final follow-up question, and it's a follow-up question for Wolf, and that's can he come over and have a play date with you in your studio?
Yes,
and,
yes,
and you
yes.
guys, he's too nervous to ask you, but I'm going to ask for him. If he can come over and
Come
have a
on
play
down.
date.
Bring some buddies.
Stewart, on behalf of all of us here, thank you so much for joining us in the Power Hour. Huge fans, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, legend.
Well, thanks, guys. I will see you later. Have a great show.
Guys, I thought that was great. I've always wanted to tell Stewart Copeland the story of seeing for $2. That was like a big deal for me. And he was nice to us when we were kids.
Oh yeah,
I didn't, you know.
got a whole lesson about the bass drum. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
He's still so sweet. He's so nice.
Hey there, thanks for watching AXS TV. Subscribe, follow, like, and do all the good stuff. And make sure you leave a comment below. I don't know, just let us know what your favorite AXS TV show is, or who your favorite bands are, and what artists you're into, or just say hi, man. I'd like to be told hi. We love hearing from you. That's the point, all right? Keep it coming.